Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you on Saturday. I hope all is well. I hope you've, well, not forgotten about what happened on Thursday night, but you're beginning to move on a bit from the disappointment of what happened on Thursday night and about now, as I am very much looking at that game on Monday against Newcastle. That's where really it's going to all be decided. Arsenal win against Newcastle, beat Everton, then all the pain, all the misery, all the disappointment of Thursday night can be forgotten. Yes, Tottenham may have won the battle or whatever you want to call it in that one, but if Arsenal win the next two games, then they will win the war, as cliche as that sounds. But so that's done and dusted now. Mikel Arteta will be speaking today at London Colney. It's not a proper usual press conference when everyone's there. It's just because it's on a Saturday. A couple of media guys are going down to London Colney to speak to him, and then those quotes are going to be shared around. I'm not sure exactly when they're going to be published, so just keep an eye out today. There will be some fresh stuff coming from Mikel Arteta, so I would expect that we're going to get some sort of update potentially on Ben White's fitness, on Gabriel's fitness, that sort of thing. So keep your eyes peeled. That will be happening at some point today. I'm not going down there for it though, but if I do get sent out, when I do see the quotes, I will flag them so you guys can have a look. But today I wanted to do a video of a little bit of sort of transfer theme, because there is some news at the moment that you might like to hear, that Arsenal are closing in on their first summer signing. That will be the Brazilian youngster Marquinhos. Now, if you go and have a look at my social media page on Twitter or Facebook, you'll find the story that I've just run about this deal that is very, very close to happening now. Arsenal have agreed a fee with Sao Paulo for him. It's going to be sort of around £3 million, give or take. He's 19. He did have a release clause of something like 50 million, something stupid, but there's a bit of a contract loophole that I'm not absolutely 100% on exactly what it means, because it's some sort of thing over in Brazil, and he's basically taking advantage of something called, I think, the Pele law, where it's something to do with a contract that he signed that is technically runs till 2024, but he could end up leaving for free this summer, and so Sao Paulo have had to basically accept a very low offer from Arsenal. Rather than losing him for free, they're going to lose him for about £3 million. So not a bad piece of business when you look at it like that. He's 19, as I say, he's a winger. He can play on either side. He's very left-footed. His favoured role is sort of out on the right-hand side, cutting in so he can get shots away on his left foot. He can play centrally as well, although he is very much considered a winger, according to the people that I've been speaking to about him. His goal record's not great, according to people who kind of have seen a lot more of him, certainly, than I have, because let's face it, all I've seen is some YouTube videos like the rest of you guys. His finishing is something that needs to be worked on, but look, he's a 19-year-old kid and he's a winger, so that's going to happen. Gabriel Martinelli was very similar when he came over. Still needs work on his finishing, in fact. And Arsenal very much see him as one for the future. So as far as I'm aware, and have been told, this isn't something that's going to impact their summer transfer plans. It's not going to change it. For example, Arsenal are looking at two forwards in the summer. The signing of Marquinhos, or the arrival of him, is not going to impact that. It's not that Arsenal are now going to sign one forward in the summer window. So that's what I mean by it not having an impact. The deal isn't done yet. It's agreed. There are some still finishing touches that need to be done, personal terms, etc., and a few sort of legalities. But as it stands, barring any last-minute hitches, this is a deal that looks like it's going to be going through, and he will be Arsenal's first signing of the summer transfer window. As I said, it's not going to make a big impact on the major summer transfer plans. I'm not even sure if he's going to be a guaranteed straight into the first team type player. I think it's going to be a similar situation to when Gabriel Martinelli arrived from Aturo. He came in and was kind of given an opportunity to impress during pre-season. It was an opportunity he absolutely took, and then he ended up basically being promoted into the first team. But when he first arrived, the expectation was he was going to kind of link up with the under-23s, get the odd opportunity with the first team, trying to impress and sort of progress like that and settle. But the way he performed straight away just sort of moved ahead of that plan. He was straight into the first team. This could happen with Marquinhos, but at the moment it just depends what happens when he arrives, how he settles, how he impresses. He will be given an opportunity in and around the first team during pre-season. If the deal is all done by then, which it should be barring any last minute hitches, he might get a trip to the US on the pre-season tour, get an opportunity like that, similar to when Matteo Guendouzi, again, he arrived a few years back, and it was expected then he might end up in the under-23s initially, but he went on that pre-season tour to Singapore and China. It was fantastic. I was over there. I remember seeing him against Atletico Madrid in his debut, and straight away he was then part of the first team. There was no question that he was going to go and link up the 23s. He was straight into the first team. So it all kind of depends on performances and how he settles. But he is very, very young. He only broke into the Sao Paulo team last year. And it's a big move, always a big move coming from South America as well. You never know how these youngsters are going to settle. For him, it's going to be a boost. So he's got some Brazilians here in the two Gabriels, obviously Edu, as well, so that might well help him settle, potentially Gabriel Jesus as well in the summer. We'll wait and see on that, but he's not going to be on his own when it comes here in terms of it, so he's not going to have too many issues with the language and things like that, because he'll have people around him who can help him, which will be a bonus, because that's what you want with a young player. But he is very raw from all accounts. There's a lot of stuff that he needs to work in, but he's very, very quick. He's very good on his left foot. He's got all the skills you would normally associate with a Brazilian, but apparently his finishing is kind of the weak point at the moment. But when it comes to young forwards, that always is like the main thing, unless you're an absolute world beater. So something that we worked on, and exciting. I mean, who doesn't love signing a Brazilian forward? So always nice when you got a cool name as well, Marquinhos. That sounds good, doesn't it? So that's the news on his impending arrival. Like I said, I have put out a story now on Twitter. So if you want to go and read that, then find me on social media, click the link, and you'll go over. It's also on the Goal homepage as well right now. Elsewhere in transfers, Nicolas Pepe, interesting development of him. He has now announced he has switched and signed to a new agent ahead of the summer. Now, I think we all know there is a very strong possibility that Nicolas Pepe might end up leaving Arsenal at the end of this season. He'll only have 2 years left on his contract. There has been reported interest from Seville. And he's not part of Mikel Arteta's plans, really, is he? I think that's pretty much clear by the lack of game time he gets and he's only got 2 years left on his contract, so something's going to have to give when it comes to Nicolas Pepe this summer. It's either sign him on a new contract, potentially, which you just can't see Arsenal doing, or try and get rid. And I think the most likely option is going to be the latter. Not going to be easy. He'll know that, and I think that's probably why he's switched agents now ahead of the summer transfer window, because he knows it's not going to be easy to get a good move because of A, his form or lack of it, B, his high wages. So the new agent is going to have to work very, very hard to get a good move. I mean, for Arsenal, they would love to move him on. I'm sure if a decent offer of around 20 million, 25 million, I think that's pushing it, came in for Nicolas Pepe, I think Arsenal would just accept it, get rid and move on. I think that'll be good for the player as well. The new agent's called Luis Ferrer. He announced some move on Instagram yesterday. Him and Nicolas Pepe both did. And Luis Ferrer said, "I'm happy to announce our starting collaboration with Nicolas Pepe, an immense player with the golden touch that I've been following since his fantastic beginnings. The past year has been tough, but we both believe more than ever in his potential and know that the coming season will be an absolute success." Now, those sort of comments there at the end, the next season will be an absolute success. Again, it's just, to me, you sort of read that and think, yeah, he's talking about somewhere else other than Arsenal, because you can't see next season it being an absolute success for Arsenal, for Nicolas Pepe at Arsenal if he stays, because he's just not going to get a look in under Mikel Arteta, and if he does, it would just be the odd substitute appearance, because he's not going to knock Bukayo Saka out the side, is he? Absolutely not going to happen. Clearly not going to knock Martinelli or Smith Rowe out the side on the left. So it just, for all parties, the best situation will be for Nicolas Pepe to move on. Like I said, Sevilla are reported over in Spain to be a club that are interested in him. Whether that ends up being a loan, though, is up for debate. Personally, for me, I think Arsenal just need to cut their ties and get rid now and move on. It would be better for Pepe, who I think is a good player, by the way. I just think it hasn't really happened for him at Arsenal. I think Pepe can do some very good stuff. He can do some really frustrating stuff as well. The unfortunate thing for Pepe is just he's never, ever, ever been a £72 million player. And as much as you don't want to focus on the price tag, when it's that big, when it's that historic, which it was for Arsenal, club record and all that, it's impossible not to focus on it, because it's just such a big price tag, and he'll always be compared to that. He'll always have to try and live up to that, and he just can't do it because he's just not that good a player. And I think if you sign Nicolas Pepe for 30 million, you don't bat an eyelid. You look at his numbers; they're pretty decent. He's scored decent amount of goals since he's been at Arsenal. He's set up decent amount of set up a decent amount of goals as well. Got plenty of assists, but it's just too inconsistent. And for £72 million, you need more than that. So personally, I think the best thing for Pepe and for Arsenal is to just get rid permanently, move on, let him get his best on his career in Arsenal, get someone else in who can fill that void in the squad on the right hand side. Whether that happens, we'll have to wait and see. We know how difficult it is for Arsenal to move on these players on big high wages. It's just not easy, especially in the current economic climate. But so that's the latest on Nicolas Pepe. I know there'll be questions at the moment about, what else is happening with Arsenal and the transfer market. The fact is, you're just going to have to wait, I'm afraid. It's just all about football at the moment. Yes, I know we've got this Marquinhos deal, which I've been talking about, but in terms of the big sort of superstar signings and things like that, it's just going to be, patience is going to be needed. Like I said, Gabriel Jesus is very much on the agenda for Arsenal. The arrival of Marquinhos won't be impacting that potential deal, but there's just still talks to be had. It's still going to go on. Arsenal's still got games to play. Man City have still got games to play. All the focus from the clubs, from the player, and any other potential arrival at the moment is just on the end of the season. So we'll just have to wait and see, get these last couple of weeks done, and then things will really start to move forward when it comes to the transfer window. I am expecting it to be busy for Arsenal. I am expecting plenty of arrivals, plenty of departures. We've talked about a few of them here. We know there's going to be a couple of forwards arriving. There's going to be a central midfielder, I think, will be arriving, potentially another defender as well. So there's plenty of deals to be done for Arsenal. We have to wait and see what competition they're in, if it's Champions League, if it's Europa League, how much money's. Everything's going to make an impact. So just a couple of weeks to go. We'll find out exactly the lay of the land, and the transfer season really will start to kick in. And just like last summer, there's going to be plenty for Edu and plenty for Mikel Arteta to do, not least when it comes to sorting out the futures of a lot of loan players. Lucas Torreira, one of them. He picked up another Player of the Month award for Fiorentina yesterday. That's 3 now for Torreira in what is becoming a very, very good loan spell for him. Fiorentina very keen to make that one a permanent deal. No surprise given the way he's played. Torreira very keen to make that permanent deal. Again, no surprise given the way he's played. And Arsenal very keen to make that a permanent deal. It's just a case of the price. There is no sort of clause for that to be turned into a permanent deal between the two clubs, but that doesn't really matter. And for Arsenal, given the way he's played, that's a good thing as well, because sometimes these clauses can really come back to bite them. We've seen that with Mavropanos, who looks like he's going to go for Stuttgart for a pittance, and then they're going to end up selling him for an awful lot of money, potentially in the same transfer window. So sometimes you agree these clauses, you agree these sort of set prices, and suddenly the player has an absolutely brilliant loan spell and that price skyrockets. It's the same with Guendouzi, who's going to go for nowhere near as much as the value that he's potentially worth. Torreira, though, there is no clause, there is no set fee, so Arsenal, you would hope, will be able to get a decent enough fee for him out of Fiorentina. It certainly won't be as much as they paid to bring him in from Sampdoria a few years ago, but potentially still be a good deal. The same with Pablo Mari and Udinese, who's having a good time over there. That's it. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. Appreciate your time as always. Do have a good Saturday if you're over here in the UK. Going to be a scorcher. The sun's out already. Going to be a lovely day. Go out and enjoy that sunshine. And I'll be back maybe tomorrow, but certainly on Monday to really sort of start looking ahead to that game against Newcastle on Monday night. Remember, there will be some quotes knocking around later on today from Mikel Arteta, so we should get some updates in terms of the injury news ahead of that game later on today. Have a good one. Speak to you soon.